So our next speaker this afternoon will be Professor Shuang, who will be speaking on the topic Lineage Tenets Preserved on the Walls, a study of the mural cycle in the assembly hall of Ling Monastery. So Professor Shuang is a lecturer in comparative literature at the School of Liberal Arts at Renmin University of China. She earned her PhD in literature from the School of Chinese Language and Literature at Tsinghua University and holds an MSc in Arts in Global Middle Ages from the University of Edinburgh. Her doctoral thesis examined the interplay of text, space, and imagery in the art of Ling Monastery, emphasizing the importance of textual and doctrinal sources in interpreting monastic art. Dr. Yao's current research project involves a comprehensive and comparative study of Tibetan art theories based on a variety of Dzogchen classics. She has received training in Tibetan and Buddhist philology as well as art history. Her research interests focus on comparative Sino-Tibetan Buddhist studies, Tibetan monastic art, and literature related to the arts. She has published articles in leading academic journals, mostly in Chinese, and is the co-editor of What is Philology? The Methodology and Practice of Modern Humanities, and that was published in 2021. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Professor Shuang.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I think I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Hakias for inviting me to this wonderful event in Hong Kong, and also thank our organizing team, Amy, Christine, and for your efficient organizing and coordinating work. And today, following our given talks pertaining to Tibetan text, doctrines and philosophies, and also transmission lineages, I would like to shift your attention to a mural cycle from an important historical monastery at central Tibet. And this mural cycle showcases a series of Buddhist sutras with a specific doctrinal focus. And this kind of artistic practice seems quite rare and unique in the history of Tibetan art. It might be a common thing if we think about it in Chinese Buddhist art, but very distinctive in the development of Tibetan Buddhist art, especially in the Chida period. So this is the structure of my talk. So I will give you a little bit introduction on the scripture-themed paintings in the Pan-Asian Buddhist art, and also I will go into the analysis of the mural cycle in the assembly hall of Ling and its features, and finally I will come to the murals of the sutras of definitive meanings, and also I will do an example of text and image analysis. And first, let me begin with a broader context in Pan-Asian Buddhist art. One of the most significant visual traditions is the pictorial depiction of scriptures, known in Chinese as Jingbian, so this transformation tableau. And these transformation paintings are especially prominent in the murals of Dunhuang grottos, spanning from Tang to Xixia period. They depict key sutras, including Amitabha Sutra and Medicine Buddha Sutra, as we heard from Professor Cui's talk this morning, and also the Lotus Sutra, and so on. And some scholars suggested that these transformation paintings are narratives served as didactic illustrations, and others argue for its symbolic aids in the religious ritual of contemplating holy icons, so this kind of guanxiang ritual. But let's move to Tibet. Moving to Tibet, scripture-themed murals were also prominent from the early periods, such as in the beginning of the Chida period. From the literary records, we know that the Jatang Monastery, for example, featured murals of Mahamegha Sutra painted in a distinct Nepalese style. And the design of Jiatang Monastery was actually influenced by an earlier Samye Monastery, which had a very rich tradition of scripture murals on multiple floors at its 3-story central hall, so Wu Zeri Sung. And at this 3-story central hall, they all depicted sutras such as the White Lotus Sutra, Ranameka Sutra, Avadamsaka Sutra, and also Sutra of Meeting Father and Son, and so on. And it is worth mentioning that the Tibetan term used for describing these murals are juri, so which is translated as sequential illustrations. These are just literary records, and we don't know that what actually these early murals actually looked like. And the earliest example of this kind of murals will be from the 14th century murals in the Yuqing Molakeng at Shalu Monastery. And it showed scenes from the Sutra of the Meeting of Father and Son, 父子相见经, and also another sutra called Jambegi Sanjegi Shingi Windan Kwebi Do. And let me show you how they did it. Apparently, there are narrative paintings which actually have the scripture, the sutra text inscribed below. So we may be able to tell that this available Tibetan scripture-themed sutras were found, mostly they were found in the Korkang, in the circumambulatory passages, and they emphasizing narrative sequences, just like the Chinese transformation tableau. But however, the murals I'm going to talk about today from Pencil Lin present a very unique set of Mahayana sutras. It reflected a distinct doctrinal focus and also in a very distinctive and unique manner. So let me just give a very brief introduction for those who are not familiar with this remarkable heritage site of Jonangpa. It is located in what it is called Lazi County, Shikats in Tibet, autonomous region today. The monastery sits at the entrance of the Jomonang Valley, where the Jonangpa actually initiated their school. It is in this valley Jonangpa made their significant contributions to Tibetan Buddhist art and philosophy, which are embodied in 2 very important monuments. So the early one is the great Jonang Kongbong, built in the 14th century by Tobopa, Sherab Jezen, and the 14th century grand monastic complex, Dadandantro Ling, built by Dalanata from 1615. So Dadandantro Ling, actually, its original name, it is a Jonang name, if you can tell, because it is said everlasting the Dharma. So the Gelupa won't use this kind of term. However, in the mid-15th century, political changes led to the takeover of the monastery by Gelupa. This monastery was renamed Gadan Pencil Lin. So the Jonang followers were then expelled from Tibet, central Tibet, surviving only in eastern Tibet today. So today, less than 1/3 of the original monastic complex remains. So among the surviving structures are the 3-story main chapel, the Zulakang, and 2 side chapels, which continue to bear witness to the Jonang heritage. So this is the assembly hall, the Coqing at the ground floor of the Zulakang, and it contains, as we see, contains murals, a mural cycle displaying I will show you the scenes. So the murals are like so like this. Let's take an example. So this is one part of the southeast wall, and we have 5 individual Buddhas behaved in different ways. It could be divided into independent panels because we have the lower inscription sections indicating clearly the theme or the title of each scene. So combining with the previous studies by several scholars and also my work, so most of the panels are identified. And also there is a particular record of these murals from the Neshe, from the descriptive guide included in Dalanata Sumbung, saying that the murals in this corridor of the main chapel are respective scriptural manifestations. They use the word do kui. So how can we understand this from another word, juri? So their respective scriptural manifestations of the origins of the so-called 20 sutras of definitive meaning, ngedongdo nishu. How the Kalachakra Mula Tantra and also Manchushri Mula Tantra were preached, and also various chapters on the great deeds of the fully enlightened teacher, the Buddha, have been expanded and arranged. And lastly, it goes on, and lastly, he said, following that each of the 40 Buddha fields, the Xingui, is introduced one by one. But unfortunately, there was no content followed, so we do not have a very detailed description of this of each mural panel. So according to the text, the mural themes fall into 3 categories: the 20 definitive sutras, 2 tantras, and also the Buddha's great deeds. However, we can generally group into into 2 themes. So the Buddha scriptures, sutras and tantras, and then the great deeds of the Buddha. And what it is special about this layout? And previous studies by Andy Quintman and Curtis Schaefer show that the Buddha's stories are a common theme and a recurring theme in the murals of Pensoling Monastery. They include scenes of the Buddha proclaiming foundational scriptures, his travels in India, that was shown in the second floor, the Life of the Buddha mural cycle, and also Buddha from different eras, and his manifestation in heaven. So collectively, these 2, they called it as the Buddha Project. And however, I would argue that these themes are not unique to Pensoling. So most of the Tibetan monasteries actually, they depict Shakyamuni's life stories prominently, often in this kind of corridors or in the public open spaces. And yet, but we can compare, comparing with other monasteries. I did it with Pewar, Baiyue Si, Pewar Monastery from East Dege, and also the Gongar Chode Monastery, and it reveals distinct differences. Pensoling's mural cycle of the 40 panels focuses exclusively on the Shakyamuni's great deeds and teachings without including protective deities or any lineage master portraits. So unlike Pewar, which features here, we can see features Mahagala or other bodhisattvas at the entrance, but Pensoling avoids any typical iconographical hierarchy and only centers directly on the Buddha. And also for each of the 40 panels presents an independent theme rather than the continuous narratives of the Buddha's life story. So each panel is titled after a specific sutra, some of the sutra panels, and depicts Shakyamuni seated on the throne with varying hand gestures attire, and surrounding elements that distinguish each scene. So unlike the narrative cycles found in Shalu, so Pencil Lin favors this standalone display, allowing for diverse yet unified expressions of the Buddha's teachings. So I would argue that these visual symbols are complex, and sometimes they are very complex and may not be immediately recognizable to those who are not familiar with the sutras. And however, for those who are well versed in the text, so the murals may remind them immediately of these scriptures. So the designer deliberately used the murals as kind of like textbooks to guide practitioners turning the walls into a visual scripture. And this approach actually fits within a broader Tibetan tradition of making canonical texts accessible through art, so much like the murals at Shalu Monastery, which acted as painted books. And Pencil Lin's mural assert the authority of Zhonang scriptures, not just illustrating them, but embodying the sect's unique doctrinal system in the name of the Buddha's great deeds. So earlier studies actually identify this so-called 20 definitive sutras in the murals are the 10 Tathagata Sutra and 10 definitive sutras proposed by Dopoba. But that doesn't quite cover the sutras now we shown in the murals. Only 13 of these mural panels are actually matched with these 20 sutras by name. So let's see. So only 13 can match. So some sutras featured like Pratihasha Nirdesha Sutra, or the Sutra of the Meeting of Father and Son, again, they are not directly tied to the core Zhonang doctrines, but they belong to the final turning of the Dharma wheel. So it is interesting that when I was interviewing the Khenpo of Pencil Lin today, of course the Gelu Khenpo, I told him about the murals are showing the particular Zhonang set of definitive meaning sutras, which are fundamental to Shentong view, and he refused. He absolutely disagreed, and he told me that, these are just the mural sutra murals from the third turning of the wheel, so they're not showing something about Zhonang doctrine. So despite this, the categorizing the sutras, what is really interesting that the murals offer an alternative way to connect text and image. So I may leave this as a question, so I haven't figured this classification yet, but let's then we will take a closer look at one mural panel of the southeast wall as an example to show how they did this in an artistic manner and different from the previous tradition. And this murals feature this southeast wall. The murals features 3 foundational texts to Zhonang doctrines: the Sandhi Nirmachana Sutra, Kalachakra Tantra, and Tathagata Sutra. So I'm showing you the interplay of the text and image from the Tathagata Sutra. In the mural, we can see here, Shakyamuni is seated on a lotus, hands in the Dharma preaching mudra, wearing robes similar to those shown also in Sandhi Nirmachana Sutra murals. And notable details include we have this auspicious, very slender, auspicious clouds beside Shakyamuni Buddha, and 2 lower clouds, each holding small Buddha figures, and the upper clouds with later we'll see with the translucent orbs. So from the lotus seed and the halo grow flower branches, so each with a very tiny Buddha figure here preaching the Dharma. To the Buddha's left kneel, so 2 bodhisattvas, one more detailed, like the main figure requesting the preaching, and on the right stand two arhats. So what it is striking is how the small Buddhas in the clouds and flowers add a very strong narrative element. So when we compare the mirror to the sutra text, we see a very direct inspiration. For example, here the sutra begins, it reads, "The lotuses then rose into the sky, covered this whole Buddha field, and remained like a jewel canopy. In each calyx of the lotuses were seated cross-legged, the body of a Tathagata, admitting hundreds of thousands of rays of light and visible everywhere, and all the lotuses were opened up in blossom." So this is depicted as the here, at this lower part. And then as the sutra goes on, we see the fading of the lotuses. Here it is said that then by the supernatural power of the Buddha, all the petals of the lotuses without exception became dark, deep black, and also putrid and disgusting, and no longer pleasing. But in the calyxes of the lotuses, the bodies of the Tathagatas sitting cross-legged, admitting hundreds of the thousands of rays of light, were still visible everywhere. So we see here in the middle part. So no flowers. The flowers are gone, are decaying. So as the sutra goes on, at the end, there is one scene, which is the light makes the world systems delightful. So at the end, it is said, "The Bodhisattva within the warp of his mother emitted light, just like the disk of the moon, for all those sentient beings." So it explains how this in the warp, in the warp of the mother. So it actually reads from the bottom to the upper. So in my study, I actually went through all the sutra panels, sutra mural panels by this kind of reading. What I can conclude is that these murals used a symbolic style centered firmly on the Shakyamuni Buddha. So we have key figures, locations, and important narrative moments are all arranged around the central image. So the attendants, architectural elements, and decorative details work together to highlight the specific preaching scenes. So overall, I will argue that the murals emphasize the broader theme of the Buddha's great deeds, showcasing that the Shakyamuni's role as a supreme teacher. The designers have artfully integrated canonical scripture preaching senses with the great deeds of the Buddha to construct a cohesive and also paradigmatic mural cycle of the Buddha's career. So why they're doing this very comprehensive visual programs? So I will argue that it serves to underscore the authenticity of these sutras and tantras, and thereby reinforcing the doctrinal foundations of Jonan tradition, as their traditions derived from these scriptures. So this is the end of my talk, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yao Shuang. That was a very fascinating presentation. I'm sure we have at least a few questions, probably beginning with Klaus. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for showing us this pictures of the Buddha teaching. And of course, the Sutras of Definitive Meaning and the Kalachakra Tantra They are the main sources of the Chonang tradition and the Shentong. And this depiction of the Buddha teaching the Kala Chakra, is this Danya Kataka stupa in the back?
Yes, yes.
Ah, that's very nice. Yeah. And I was wondering, whether this type of iconography can be found also in other places.
No.
So it's unique. Right?
Yeah, it's very unique. So I will argue that Dalanatha, he designed all this, he designed it.
It was not copied anywhere?
No. So, because if we have also other tantras depicted, we can see from Shalu monasteries murals, but they're not depicted as the Buddha's preaching these sutras or these tantras. So, yes, this is a very unique design.
Thank you very much for your talk. I have a question about one of the texts that you mentioned, the Manjushri Mula Tantra. Does this refer to the Manjushri Nama Sangiti or to the Manjushri Mula Kalpa or something else altogether?
It refers to the Manjushri Mula Tantra. But it is kind of the same style as this Kalachakra Mula Tantra. It didn't actually go into the contents. It's just like the very symbolic way of the Buddha is preaching the Manjushri Mula Tantra.
But what is written,
Exact. The name, the title of the.
What do we see, written on the wall?
On the wall.
It's not in Sanskrit, obviously. Right?
No, it's in Tibetan.
But can you give the Tibetan?
I have it in my paper. No, sure.
It's very interesting.
Maybe here. See. It's a name, just the name of the sutra or the name of the tantra.
No, it's not. Maybe on top.
Oh, this is.
No, I'm not speaking. Only trying. Well, we'll look it up later.
Yeah. I have them all translated. I will show you later.
Thank you.
Oh, this is the inscription here. For the Tathagata Sutra. So, yeah, this is clear.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yao Shuang, for your presentation. Oh, one more question. Okay, one more.
Just a very simple one, because I'm really illiterate in those things. I was just wondering if, when we look at those Tibetan, just a very, idiotic question. Now, is there any relationship between the Tibetan wall paintings and the Chinese Jinbian? Is there any genetic relationship or whatever?
I think from the beginning, yes, the Sangye and the Jatang monastery, they're connected because we find examples both in Dunhuang and also the same way in Tibetan monasteries, but not here. This is too late. So this is 17th century.
No, I was just referring to the actual style or the whole idea of Jinbian.
The whole idea, no, I don't think so.
No, because in Chinese it goes way back.
I know.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying that actually the designer designed this as as the Buddha's great deeds. So it's not like the transformation painting. So I will argue that this is it is one of his preaching senses, a 说法图 rather than 经变图。